Is Donald Trump being sabotaged from within? Is Donald Trump being sabotaged by his own military? If you look at the USS Gerald Ford, a $13 billion aircraft carrier, there are some reports that there are members of the Navy who are putting t-shirts and socks down the toilets to clog it, fearing that their stay on the Gerald Ford is going to last even longer than it has already if the Trump regime decides it's going to attack Iran. There are rumors that there are crew members en masse who want to quit the Navy based on how they've been treated aboard the USS Gerald Ford. And so there are two aircraft carriers that are in the Middle East region right now as Donald Trump threatens Iran. There's the Gerald Ford, and then there's the Abraham Lincoln carrier group. Now, the Gerald Ford has been at sea for approximately 242 days. The deployment has been extended twice now, and it's in the Middle East region again. It had to go stop at Greece recently because it had these plumbing and sewage issues, and specifically the vacuum-based sewage system keeps on being destroyed. And there are some people are saying, are members of the Navy intentionally clogging it, or is this $13 billion aircraft carrier just falling apart? I mean, you have former Colonel McGregor saying that his sources in the Navy are telling him that there's some intentional sabotage taking place, morale at an all-time low. And then there are other stories just that this aircraft carrier is breaking down. And we saw the Wall Street Journal reported earlier in the week as well how low morale is. The article from the Journal, Missed Funerals and Blocked Toilets. Iran deployment takes a toll on U.S. sailors. The aircraft carrier USS Gerald Ford's lengthy mission is causing strains for crew members and their family. And this comes at the same time. We have to wonder, is there sabotage from within? Remember how we reported last week that there were 2 weeks ago that the airspace was shut down in Texas because there was believed to be these lasers that were going to be used to shoot down cartel drones. And so the FAA had to shut down the airspace because the DOD or Department of Homeland Security was going to use its lasers to start shooting drones. It should also be noted, this is what happened last night, that the United States military lasers took down a border protection drone above the airspace in El Paso, Texas. Apparently, these lasers actually shot down a drone, which, I mean, is so dangerous. What if that would have shot down a commercial airliner? So you have that going on internally as well. Are these turf battles between agencies resulting in lasers shooting down drones over American airways? It's a total Trumpian mess right now. And I mean, just look at some of these images right here and you can see what the sewage looks like. The sewage is running through the decks of the USS Gerald Ford, going back to that for a moment. I mean, here's this video which says, "Join the Navy," they said. And again, it was forced to make this emergency dock in Greece as the Navy, as the people on the aircraft carrier were like basically drenched in feces and urine, and it stunk, and people were absolutely horrified. Here's how it's being reported as well. This nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, commissioned by the Navy in 2017 at a cost of $13 billion, faced repeated failures in its vacuum-based sewage system during this extended employment. The system's narrow pipes and high usage by over 4,500 crew members have caused frequent clogs and vacuum breakdowns, leading to overflows and rendering many of the ship's 650 toilets unusable at times, with sailors reporting long queues and extended repair efforts, averaging one maintenance call per day. These problems, ongoing since at least 2023, have persisted into 2026, despite external assistance being called 42 times, and it's in Greece right now, or now it's leaving Greece, but it was there for a short period of time in order to try to deal with all of this. The USS has been at sea for 241 days. One of the things that we're hearing is people are missing births, missing their children's first step. The sewage system is failing, as I just mentioned. Crew members are telling reporters privately they want to quit the Navy. Morale is described in terms that defense journalists have not used since the Vietnam-era reporting. This deployment is on track to reach 11 months. And again, trouble brewing on the USS Gerald Ford. Now, this comes at the same time. Iran sees what's happening. Iran sees that the plumbing in Trump's military doesn't even work. The sewage system is destroyed. And so in Geneva on Thursday, there were discussions about what was going to happen in Iran. And the U.S. basically demanded that Iran destroy its 3 main nuclear sites and permanently deliver its remaining enriched uranium to the United States. But didn't the United States claim that they totally obliterated all of this stuff? So a little bit confused there if there was quote unquote total obliteration. Iran responded yesterday by completely rejecting permanently zeroing enrichment, dismantling nuclear facilities, and transferring the uranium stockpiles to the United States. And as they say over here, it's going to get hot. Iran rejects the U.S. deal on the nuclear program. And the Wall Street Journal reports that the talks in Geneva resulted in nothing, which Iran says that's what they wanted. Tehran refused to transfer its enriched uranium stocks abroad, also opposing the halt of enrichment, the dismantling of nuclear facilities, and indefinite restrictions on its programs. Iran wouldn't even discuss dismantling ballistic missiles and stopping construction over the missiles. So the United States is in a very difficult situation as well, and they've been sabotaging themselves just with some of the missteps they made also. I mean, some of the things they've said publicly. So remember the interview that Tucker Carlson did recently with Mike Huckabee? Mike Huckabee is now the ambassador to Israel. We played some of that interview as it relates to the Epstein files, when Huckabee said that he never even looked at it and doesn't know anything about the Epstein files at all. And Tucker, to his credit, was like, but you realize that there were all these people like Ehud Barak, the former Israeli prime minister. There's lots of connections here. So as the ambassador, it doesn't interest you that there are these, very serious accusations being made against leaders in Israel. And Huckabee's like, I never read these things. I don't ever read it. But a statement that Huckabee made that has further entrenched opposition to the U.S. being able to use any Air Force bases or any land of, kind of former allies in the Middle East, whether it's, Saudi Arabia, whether it's, Qatar, whether it's United Arab Emirates, or really using it the way they did before, is Tucker asked Mike Huckabee, so based on your reading of the Bible, do you believe that Israel should be able to claim all of the Middle East and not just the land it currently has, but it should be able to have UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Iran, Afghanistan, everything? Does it all belong to Israel? Basically is what Tucker Carlson asked. And Mike Huckabee said, yeah, Israel should have all of it. They should have all of it. So that statement also now has led lots of Middle East countries to now say to Trump, even though we weren't even thinking about letting you use our airspace and anything before, because this mission against Iran or this attack on Iran is a U.S. and Israel-led attack, we're not going to let you utilize any of our land or any of our resources. This is what went down on Tucker, just so you could see it for yourself. Here, play this clip.
You know that we've been reporting a whole lot on the Trump administration scrapping the endangerment finding. This is something that we can't just let drift out of the news cycle, so give me a minute to highlight some important info. So I want to flag a new analysis from the Harvard Chan School of Public Health on why this all matters so much. The endangerment finding was the legal and scientific basis that allowed the EPA to regulate greenhouse gases under the Clean Air Act. Back in 2009, the government determined that gases like carbon dioxide and methane threatened public health and future generations. That decision gave the EPA both the authority and the responsibility to limit pollution from vehicles and power plants. According to Harvard's climate and health experts, removing that foundation could mean more fine particulate pollution from burning fossil fuels. That's linked to higher risks of asthma in children, chronic heart and lung disease, and premature death, especially in communities near highways, power plants, and industrial sites. And long-term, the health impacts grow. Hotter days are tied to more hospitalizations and preterm births. Warmer conditions worsen ozone pollution, wildfire smoke increases respiratory illness and mortality, and climate-driven storms can disrupt access to medical care. So yeah, this is a massive, massive deal. Harvard researchers warn that this rolling back puts real health protections at risk. Cleaner air has been tied to longer life expectancy and fewer asthma attacks in kids. So for all those Make America Healthy Again people, this totally flies in the face of that promise. This is why it's so important that we keep making noise about this and push for future administrations to restore the finding. So I want to hear from you. Leave a comment. Tell us what you think about this decision by the Trump administration. I want to hear your thoughts on these reports that we're doing on climate issues, how Trump's destruction of climate policy has affected your health, your electricity bills, jobs in your communities. I want to hear all of it. So again, make your voice heard in the comments now. Ben, back to you.
And here's what we're seeing as well. This was reported in the New York Times. Despite the ongoing buildup of air defense systems, military aircraft, and munition at bases across the Middle East, which has stretched on now for several weeks, officials believe that the Pentagon still does not have the forces or munitions needed for an extended bombing campaign against Iran. 7 to 10 days is about how long the American military position in the region could continually carry out strikes, according to one U.S. military official who spoke to the New York Times. So they're leaking from the inside as well. So you may have, kind of rank and file members of the Navy. Some suggest are sabotaging the Gerald Ford internally, although there's, the commanders aboard deny that, but it's possible that that's happening. And Colonel McGregor says that's what he hears happening. But, that's what they're saying. But we know for a fact there were these leaks taking place, and I'm not referring to just the sewage leaks with the feces all over the floor and the urine all over the floor in the Gerald Ford. I'm talking about leaks from top-level military people who are saying, we don't have the resources for more than 10 days, and normally the U.S. would rely on allies, whether it's allies in the Middle East, allies in Europe, Canada, Australia, other countries. No one wants to help the U.S., and Donald Trump knows that. So that's one of the reasons why Iran was able to so easily just reject what the United States was saying. Iran's like, you don't have the cards to tell us anything. You've isolated and alienated yourself at the United Nations. You don't have any negotiating power over us. But what I think is fascinating as well is not only was there not peace, or there was no deal that was made from the meetings in Geneva between the U.S. and Iran, but another war broke out, a war between Pakistan and Afghanistan. So late yesterday, Pakistan's defense minister announced Pakistan was officially at war with Afghanistan and said that Afghanistan and the Taliban have now become a colony of India. And so Pakistan struck Kabul. And there was, there's an ongoing war, right now as of this recording. And it's also a proxy war regarding Pakistan's war with India. So now we're going to see, is India going to retaliate? Is there going to be another war? And is Trump now going to claim that somehow he stopped other wars from taking place just because the wars began when he was in office? There is a statement that was made by the head of by some of the leadership on the USS Gerald Ford. Here's what they said. Gerald Ford departed the Naval Station, Norfolk, Virginia on June 24th, 2025. It's been gone for a long time. Since that time, the Ship and Carrier Strike Group 12 have continued to operate at a high state of readiness. Navy leaders acknowledge that extended time away from families carriers real and measurable sacrifice. Extended deployments demand endurance, said Admiral Darrell Caudle, Chief of Naval Operations. They ask sailors to miss births, anniversaries, and everyday moments at home. They ask families to shoulder additional responsibility. That sacrifice is real, and we don't take it lightly. The nation relies on these sailors to remain forward and ready, and they continue to meet that responsibility with professionalism and pride. Caudle emphasized that sustained readiness begins with people and empowering them to succeed. The morale aboard Gerald Ford remains strong because leadership is engaged, systems are operating, and sailors understand the importance of their mission. The crew is experienced, disciplined, and committed to one another. That cohesion matters during long deployments. But in any event, it seems internally that there is a lot of objection to what is taking place right there. So this is what happens as a result of Donald Trump's awful foreign policy, his awful leadership, not paying attention to detail. And didn't the military take $1 trillion of our tax dollars? And still you have this issue with the vacuum-based sewage system spewing all the literal crap, the feces and the urine all over the ship. You have that taking place still to this day. That's why I think there's some suspicion. Is it truly the sewage system, or is it some of the members of the Navy right there who don't want to be there, who want to go back home, who don't want to go to war? And what's going on in terms of the available resources that the United States has or doesn't have, and what's going on with, the fact that America, the plan by the United States, as they're saying, is the following. Senior advisors to Trump prefer that Israel strike Iran before the United States launches a large-scale air campaign on the country, because the politics are a lot better if the Israelis go first and the Iranians retaliate, claiming that Iranian retaliation would help muster support from American voters for a U.S. strike. Two people told Politico, who are very familiar with this. Do you see the leaks that are coming out? And the leaks are also intended to sabotage this all. So Trump is being sabotaged from within by people who know, though, how dangerous this is, that this would be a disaster. And while all of this is taking place, now you have the complexity of Pakistan going to war against Afghanistan in the region and saying they're doing it because Afghanistan, it says, is a colony of India. So now that potentially creates another war between India and Pakistan, potentially. So this is what's caused by Donald Trump's complete and utter chaos. This is what's caused by his weakness. There you have it. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million. 7 million. Let's get to 7 million. Thanks for watching.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.